In spiritual Christianity, the wisdom and thought processes of angelic consciousness are distinct from earthbound human cognition. They transcend natural limitations to achieve a higher, purely spiritual form of understanding. This unique perspective emphasizes the living nature of angelic wisdom, the abstract purity of their thought, and the profound spiritual truths they perceive. The wisdom that belongs to angelic consciousness is not speculative or theoretical, but living and dynamic. Unlike the wisdom of human beings in a natural state of consciousness, which often involves conjecture and abstraction, angelic wisdom is directly applied to their lives and actions. It is a practical, lived experience that constantly enhances their spiritual development and their ability to contribute to the well-being and happiness of others. The subject of angelic thought are the most purely abstracted truths. Such thought is not bound by the limitations of concrete physical reality, but is concerned with the highest, most refined spiritual truths. The focus of this thought is on the continuous improvement of the will and intellect, aiming to refine mental forms to serve and uplift others more effectively. Angelic thought is not confined by the constraints of space and time, which limit human cognition by tying it to the material world. Space and time can withdraw the mind from purely spiritual truths and deprive the intellectual sight of its extension. In contrast, angels, through their abstraction from these constraints, achieve a superior mental light, allowing them to perceive truths that are beyond the reach of natural thought and language. Because of their detachment from space and time, angels are elevated into a superior mental light. In this heightened state, the truths they perceive are beyond the limitations of natural cognition, leading to a form of understanding that transcends earthly language and thought processes. This elevation allows them to grasp spiritual realities that are inaccessible to the natural mind. Angelic communication makes use of immaterial ideas, abstracted from merely natural properties and their derived conclusions. This form of communication transcends the physical and material realm, involving a spiritual language that aligns with the angel's superior mental state. It demands a shift from concrete concepts to purely abstract spiritual ideas. As the mind is elevated into superior light, spiritual thought and its corresponding language become more universal. This elevation results in a form of expression that is increasingly abstracted from the relations of space and time. Consequently, the literal sense of the Holy Scriptures, which often relies on these relations, disappears when its spiritual sense is revealed to the perception. This unfolding reveals deeper spiritual truths that transcend the literal meaning associated with the letter. Heaven, in the context of spiritual Christianity, is constituted by the interior states of the will and intellect rather than any external place. This heaven of the mind is the most perfect of created forms, characterized by the subordination of the various forms that make up its constitution. It is referred to as the Maximus Homo, or the grand human, not because of physical magnitude, but due to the integration of all angelic functions to form a single, unified whole. So it is that heaven, taken as a whole, is held to be the greatest human form. The wisdom and thought of angels in spiritual Christianity are marked by a living, practical application of abstract spiritual truths for the continued advancement of the happiness of all. Free from the constraints of space and time, angels perceive higher truths in a superior mental light, leading to a universal form of spiritual communication. This transcendent cognition underscores that heaven is an interior state of mind, the most perfect form created, and is defined by the harmonious integration of all into a collective human being. The Maximus Homo represents the collective spiritual perfection achieved through the subordination of individual forms for the sake of the whole, embodying the ultimate spiritual ideal of heaven.